There's some pretty serious anglers. The competition is really good.
I believe we're on fish to win this. If we can do that, that's achieving a lot.
I don't fish for a lot of bites in this lake. If I get 12, 14 bites, I'm gonna have big weight.
In tournament fishing, you always have to have a backup plan, and we have one.
Fishing is fishing. It's anybody's game in this body of water.
Oh, we got a few tricks up our sleeve. We should be able to do something.
Gotta risk it for the biscuit.
Day one of the Thousand Islands Open was all about the weather.
Pretty tough day out there, though.
I think I have to slow down.
Rough, windy. Didn't get a lot of time to fish because of the waves, but we made the best of the time we had.
It was way too much work for what we got here.
The harsh conditions didn't prevent some very big bags from making it back to the weigh-in. The top 10 were made up of weights ranging from 21 to 25 pounds.
25.75 pounds. These are your new leaders.
It was a good day. Lots of numbers, left fish, so it should be interesting. The weather's consistent. We might be able to duplicate it.
A 20.81. After being here all week, it's about as much as I could expect.
We weighed 21.7. Fortunately, we had a fish care penalty, so it'll be 21.2. Good start, and we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Caught them pretty quick, and we decided to run back and try and get our fish in and save a few for tomorrow. And hopefully the wind lays down a bit tonight, and we can get them again tomorrow. There's lots of fish there.
While the goal of any tournament is to come in first, the Thousand Islands Open has an incentive for day two that ramps up the pressure to do well. The goal for the teams today will be to ensure that they have enough weight to get them into one of the top 42 spots. Not only does it guarantee you a spot on the final day, it also gives the teams a chance at winning a $55,000 Ranger boat package.
Hoping for a good start again this morning, and we'll move around a bit more today and try to keep that weight up. I think the weights will drop a bit. I'd be surprised if they didn't. A lot of guys are working the same areas.
I'm not a big lake runner, so I'm going to be in the river, and hopefully we get our 21 here in the river.
Go!
Team 50 is one of the teams that's sitting just outside the cutoff, coming in 53rd after day one. A hard day on the water was made even worse after losing some big fish.
We got a couple little ones in there. We had the ones to replace them, but unfortunately we didn't get them in a boat.
16.71, good weight.
For this team, their struggles began during their pre-fish, as a solid pattern was tough to come by.
We pre-fish separately, so we're both finding fish, but they don't seem to be grouped up like we'd really like them. They're following a similar pattern, but it's kind of one fish here and one fish there.
They didn't find anything solid during pre-fish, and day two doesn't seem to be delivering any giants either. Unfortunately, they've had to change their original plan to fish deep, thanks to Mother Nature.
The weather is going to be a massive factor. They're calling for a lot more wind than there's been the last few days. We're going to keep the sun, we're going to keep the heat. I think the anglers that aren't able to adapt to what this wind does to the fish are going to have a challenge.
And for some of the anglers, it's going to shorten their fishing time.
Being in the river isn't stopping the wind from making things hard for Ryan.
This is when I'm going to catch the fish right here.
It looks like the changing conditions have been tough for Ryan and Pete as the big fish continue to elude them.
Coming into today, we figured that we had to do something drastically different. And our options were either go to the lake and swing for the fences for a huge bag and risk coming in with zero, or stay in the river and try to just scramble. Figured we'd have a better chance of making the cut with a 19-pound bag from the river. We'd get a better shot at that. Looks like we're going to be shy of that, but that's the tournament. Make decisions, stick plan.
There's a lot of water to find fish in at the Thousand Islands Open. It's just a matter of whether or not they want to be found. The morning of day 2 has been a real struggle for many teams. Fighting to get a top weight and a cash payout is one thing, but having a chance at winning a brand new Ranger boat is definitely turning up the pressure. A top 42 finish today will get you a chance at the boat and the ability to return on day 3. Failing to get a good limit takes away both of these possibilities.
You figure we need about 20 pounds today to make the cut?
Team 69 are in 33rd position going into day 2. They're a little bit concerned because there aren't many fish around to help them move up the leaderboard. It feels great to get a fish on the line. Unfortunately, they don't have an option to weigh in a walleye.
Well, it was a little bit tougher today than it was yesterday. We had a good day yesterday, but the school that we were on left.
Team 13 is currently in 15th position, and while any giant fish failed to make it into their bag, they had an easy time filling it on day 1.
We had 20 pounds, we dropped another 20, so it wasn't bad. We had a lot of fish.
Unfortunately, it's quite a different story this morning.
Extremely slow. Extremely slow. Totally different than
They'll hit it, but they won't make it.
We're seeing good fish. We just can't get them to go.
Throw pretty much everything at them but the kitchen sink. That's the next thing we're going to throw. It's worse seeing the good fish and not getting them to bite. At least we know we're in the right area.
Team 31 are working their spot hard, and they've hooked their second fish of the morning.
Another big bite.
It appears as though the St. Lawrence is showing off its multi-species teeth today.
Because this area is so big, it can be intimidating to come and know where to start. However, you can really think about it another way in that almost every type of habitat is present in this region. So smallmouth are found in typical rocky, sandy habitats, but there's also current, there's shallow water areas where you can catch smallmouth on flats, there are deep water areas where you can catch smallmouth on humps. When it comes to largemouth, there are back bays with lots of weed, there are slop mats, there are pencil reed areas with both largemouth and smallmouth. Pretty much anything that an angler is good at can be the place to start in this kind of an area. In reality, no matter what you want to target, there's something for everyone in this area, and there's really no end of things that anglers can do.
Wind is still a big factor on day 2 of the tournament, with only a select few anglers willing to make the run out to the lake in the rough conditions. For some, the adjustment of fishing the river has increased their struggle, while others have found solid footing in their backup plans.
Yeah, we practiced according to the forecast, which surprisingly the weatherman was pretty accurate. Yeah, we didn't even bother with the lake.
We hope the river is the game.
Team 26 already have 2 fish in the well from this spot. With this third fish, it would seem that the river is the game for these 2 anglers. The fish so far haven't been monsters, but if they continue in this direction, they'll get an early limit like they did on day 1. Their 20-plus pound bag on day 1 landed them in 20th place, a pretty good position in the standings for a team that's relatively new. Day 1 of the Thousand Islands Open was the first official time Todd Curry and Sean Stenson had fished together as a team.
Well, it was the first day together. We known each other for 4 years. Todd is a pro, myself as an amateur.
Todd might be the more seasoned pro, but Sean is definitely holding his own on the boat today. Fishing the Thousand Islands Open with Todd is pushing him deeper into the tournament angling world.
Myself, it hooked me when I started getting in the race and in the hunt of things, fishing with these big name anglers. It inspired me up. I just wanted to keep at it, learn more myself.
The diversity of places you can fish and not see a boat, it is amazing how much water's out there. I'm always looking for something that nobody's maybe ever found. Don't know if that's possible these days. That gratification of finding the reward at the end of the day, that's where it's at for me.
Going far and wide. We don't like to run around. Try to keep it simple, keep it tight, and make sure that the fish are in one zone. It saves us a lot of time, keeps us fishing.
Yeah, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, wouldn't that be nice all the time?
Didn't have to put a tag in that one because I'm not going to have to catch it until I weigh that one in. Those are the kind we need.
As we head towards the midway point of day 2, teams are looking to make a run at the top 42 for a chance at a brand new Ranger 519C powered by an Evinrude G2. Success on the water is not a guarantee for any team here at the Thousand Islands Open, but there's no doubt that a successful partnership on the boat is a definite advantage to making it to the podium. At the end of day 1, 4 of the top 25 teams were made up of father and son combos. Team 38, Paul and Cal Clemson, are 23rd after day 1. Unlike many of the teams on the water on day 2, they're not struggling to catch fish.
Well, it's a lot of fun. 2 heads are always better than 1. You can throw 2 different kinds of baits, give them different options, so it can make for a good day of fishing.
Paul's love for the sport of fishing led him down the tournament trail. Having his family along for support obviously had an effect on young Cal.
The first tournament was on Lake Simcoe, and I was, I think, 12 years old.
Feels real good to have someone following in some of us old timers' footsteps. And Cal's had a lot of good mentors out there, and it's paying off now because he's doing really good.
Success as an individual angler is one thing, but working together can involve a lot of compromise or conflict. Cal's well aware of what his dad brings to the team.
We haven't had much success in the last couple years, maybe on some of the older spots that produced from him in the past. And lately they've been putting out some fish. So he's been quick to say that his spots that he found 10, 15 years ago still hold fish. So it's obviously an advantage to fish with someone that's been fishing for so long and has the sense on the water that he does. It brings a lot to the combo of him and I out in the water.
Team number 2 is longtime tournament angler Bob IZUMI and his son Darren. Their 13th place standing after day one shouldn't be a surprise for anyone familiar with Bob's history in the tournament world.
I'm a little bit obsessive addicted, would you say, Darren?
Oh yeah, we'll get on the water. Even when it's not a tournament, he just won't get off the water. But there's something about that adrenaline rush in a tournament in the morning when you're blasting off and trying to beat the clock to get in. It's awesome.
It's an obsession that seems to have rubbed off on Darren.
Darren and I have been fishing tournaments for about 10 years or so together, haven't we?
Yeah, about 10 years. Did one when I was around 18, got hooked on it, and you can't shake me since.
No, I'll tell you, and this guy can catch fish, so he's a great partner to have.
Despite the tough driving thanks to the wind, Bob and Darren have spent most of their time fishing the lake, and it's paying off for them.
My dad knows how to catch fish, no matter where you put them. I'm sort of played the devil's advocate or the rhyme or reason and try to get him to think a little bit differently.
The biggest thing I think that Darren has seen in me is sometimes I get stuck in my ways.
Oh yeah.
And I'll stay in a spot too long, or I'll turn left instead of right. We'll be going somewhere and all of a sudden I'll take a turn and decide to fish something on the way there. I do a lot of those intuitive things, and sometimes that intuition stays too long. And that's hurt us in some turns, and some it hasn't. So I think in any tournament angler knows you have to gamble a little bit and roll the dice.
Lynn Johnson has introduced both his sons, Corey and Chris, to the tournament side of fishing, where they've both found great individual and team success. This time around, Lynn and Chris have teamed up and find themselves in 5th place after day one.
It's a lot of fun. Don't fish together much anymore, so we had a blast. We probably caught 20 fish a day, and they're all 3 to 6 pounds. So anytime you can go do that with your father, it's a great weekend.
Lynn's opinion on fishing with his son is slightly different.
Pretty tough some days. That's actually pretty enlightening. They fish completely different than myself 20, 30 years ago. The way they catch smallmouth, we never done that back in the day. So I had a good weekend to learn how to catch smallmouth.
The Johnsons are burning their way through competition as they make their way through the tournament trails. But according to Chris, their success on the water is constantly hampered by his dad's poor performance in one vital area.
He's probably the worst net man I've ever seen. I got amateurs that are better. Every fish, he hit them once just to make sure they're on good before he scooped them.
But what Chris doesn't understand is I've never had to net fish in my life. It's new to me.
Fish care is extremely important. We know from the tagging work that there's not an infinite number of tournament-sized fish in this system, so we want to take special care to make sure that they go back alive. But then in this system, there are also some special considerations for fish care that anglers that just fish small bodies of water may not be aware of. Here are a few different things that anglers will experience on this water body when it comes to fish care. One is the long distances that people are traveling. The other thing that anglers will get exposed to in the system, which is important for fish care, is the rough water and how to drive through that rough water to make sure that your fish are still maintaining good condition. The third thing that anglers will encounter that can be a problem is catching large smallmouth bass from depths. The fish experience pressure disturbances that anglers need to address. If anglers can take care of these three things and address them, it is quite possible to bring back fish in good condition back to the weigh-in site with no dead fish penalties, and those fish can be released alive at the end of the tournament day.
As the end of day 2 of the Thousand Islands Open comes to a close, teams frantically work their areas, looking to upgrade one last time, as ounces can leave them out of the day 3 cut and their shot at a Ranger boat package. Based on yesterday's cut weight, it's going to take roughly 34 pounds to make the third day and get a key. As the boats come in for day 2 weigh-in, the casualties add up pretty quickly.
We made a gamble today and it definitely did not pay off. We lost our shirts. The weather was definitely a factor today. We probably got 25% less fishing time in because of the weather and all that. But part of the game when you're fishing Lake Ontario.
Whether it was the rough conditions or mechanical issues, a number of boats have called it a day prior to the weigh-in, increasing the chances for teams who made it to the dock to slide into the top 42. With the Ranger boat on the line, the anglers had mixed feelings about their chances as they made it to the tanks.
Maybe 15, 16, something like that. Better than yesterday.
Brutal today. We got 5 fish. Medium size.
Tough day. Long run and they were not there. Lucky we got what we got. Hopefully make the cut and we're fishing again tomorrow, hopefully.
The weigh-in didn't provide any sense of relief for anglers who were safely in the top 42.
We got on a pretty good school of fish early this morning, caught a ton of fish, but just didn't quite get the big bites we were hoping for.
Today was a better day. You know, not what we wanted. Tried to go out to the big lake. It was just too rough. So we turned around and ran around to some river stuff that we had and pulled in a pretty good bag. Lost 1 good fish. Let's see what happens.
5 alive.
Day 1 leaders Farlow and Street weighed in a solid bag at 22.16 pounds, but couldn't hold on to the top position. Todd Curry and Sean Stenson weighed in 22.23 pounds, thanks in part to their ability to turn a bad situation into a good one. But to no one's surprise, Chris and Lynn Johnson brought in the day's biggest bag at 24.68 pounds. The Johnsons' limit was anchored by an impressive 5.66 pound smallmouth, but Cal Clemson revealed the winning 6.58 pound giant caught by him and his father. With the day 2 leaders established, the stress was high for those hoping to make it into the final few positions.
It went a little better than yesterday. I didn't scramble as early and my fish showed up, so that was good. I'll be right on the bubble, so we'll see what happens.
Today was brutal. It was really tough out there. We made it halfway out to the lake when we turned back. Couldn't get to the spots where I wanted to be, and we paid the price for it. So we'll be a spectator tomorrow.
Here's your top 42 teams that'll move on to the final day of competition. For these anglers, the possibility of winning a brand new Ranger boat is now a reality.
All 42 teams are going to come up, they're going to get a key, they're going to step into the boat, they're going to see if it starts, and if it starts, they are Canada's newest Ranger and Evinrude owners.
With a 1 in 42 chance of winning, the odds are pretty amazing and every team here feels like they've got a good chance at the Ranger. Unfortunately, it's not good news for many of the anglers who first sit behind the wheel. Each turn of the key brings about disappointment and frustration until one lucky team feels the key turn in the ignition.
Well, I'll tell you, after the first day, we really felt like we faltered a little bit, coming in with just 17.3, and we really had to make some good adjustments to get ourselves in position to qualify for getting a key. What do you know? We get up there after 24 other attempts, and it turned over, and dreams come true.
Yeah, we wore our lucky fishing shorts. The last time I wore these shorts, we were practicing together and I caught a big 6-pound smallie out on the lake. So these are really our lucky shorts now, obviously.